then was the CS right to clarify that, or is it the authority or the institution mandated by law to classify people as criminals, or the establishment of the same?
But of course not.
He isn't.
The other day, when we were in court to go to these petitions, the CS has been sued. The Inspector General of Police have been sued. We have the Cabinet Secretary under Article 153 of the Constitution has got a specific role. There's his policy. For instance, when he's been sued, then, if it were, for example, to appear before court, his position would largely be to tell the court that mine is at the policy level. It does not include investigations. But then, as a responsible leader, you must speak to Kenyans about the concerns of what they do, whether online or otherwise. And to say that we will follow you there is not to criminalize, is to say if you have committed an offense, because an online platform, whether it is X, whether it's Facebook, whether it's WhatsApp or wherever, we all have the right to express ourselves on those platforms. What we are saying is, let us not abuse that platform to abuse people, to do all sorts of nasty things that borders on criminality.
Prof, just hang on. But he never pointed out about what's moral, what's ethical, what's legal. He said the criminals. He has already given them the criminal tag.
Precisely.
Do you agree with him on that?
He's basically making reference to the people who abuse the platform and commit offenses.
But is it the right authority to designate them as criminals?
No, there is a law in place. There is a law that...
So who establishes whether one is criminal or not?
Once you have been subjected to an investigation process, for example, by the relevant agencies, you would know that you have breached the law, a specific law, and therefore you are a suspect to be charged if the threshold is met.
And all those things have never happened?
Of course. If I am charged, I am charged upon an investigation being done. Yeah. In this case, not yet.
But
what the CS is saying...
He was making a reference, Senator Sigay, to the surge in the use of online platforms by the Kenyan youth.
Yes, yes, yes.
And no youth has been presented in a court of law and charged for that matter.
Ayub, just allow me...
What was in hindsight, if you read between the lines of what the CS said yesterday?
What is the crime?
Yeah. Who are the criminals and what's the crime?
Now, what the CS is saying, and... avoiding the popular statement that everyone would want to say that the CS has already criminalized people. That's a very popular statement. What he's barely saying is that, look, good people, Kenyans, you have moved from the actual criminal element, stealing, doing this, attacking, to attacking on an online platform. And we will be using whatever resources available to do investigations, to charge, to release or discharge those who are found not to have committed any crime on that online platform. He has not concluded
well, Senator, you have totally taken the meaning out of the statement by the Interior CS.
Because that is exactly what CS was actually saying. Are you?
Okay, can we then replay this?
Let's replay the clip.
Then we can have what the Interior CS said.
Let's replay that clip.
Yep, okay.
And if the criminals and people with bad behavior have moved from being manual to the digital space, I want to tell them we will follow you there. Because that is where we want to ensure that there is law and order. And we will expend every resource that is before us to make sure that we apprehend criminals.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want to pick specific words. Bad behavior, criminals, law and order, manual, and apprehension. Those are some of the words he used. To apprehend, the moment you are suspected, the law will take its course and you'll be apprehended. Law and order is key in this particular statement. And therefore, when the CS speaks about bad behavior, he's making reference to people who tend to abuse that social media platform.
Okay, Senator, just hang on, because you have cherry-picked on wording, so allow me to ask you the questions. You can't legislate behavior. However, who has been apprehended for that behavior that you have talked about, he has talked about in your view? Who has been taken to custody, for example?
Yes. What did he say? We will follow you there. We will use all available resources to apprehend future action plans for purposes of making sure that you apprehend those who have moved from manual to digital, those who have moved with bad behavior from manual to digital. And he's saying law and order will be put into place. Simply put, he's saying we will apprehend you as per the law. If you become a criminal, you will be taken to where you are supposed to belong. If it is requiring resources, we will use those resources. But the bottom line is, let law and order be put in place. Simply put, to the person who will be affected by the abuse of the social media, who is a victim, and to the person who is moving from manual to the online platform to misuse or abuse that space. Basically it.
Let me put it this way then, one final question. Do you think that Kenyans using online platforms to criticize the government are criminals?
No. Criticism is okay. I would love to be criticized because that is the only way I'll get to know whether I am performing or not. Okay. They are not.
Okay. Yes, Honorable Wandeto.
My honest advice to CS Murkomen would be to just breathe in and out and relax. I wish the criminals he's referring to here were those criminals in Mulot who
By they come from Bomet, and Mulot is within my county.
Yeah, who we were told is
within my county.
Is the headquarter where those cyber crime who defraud people. Those ones we need to go after. The ones that are taking
those ones.
The ones we are taking who are taking money from people's bank accounts and M-Pesa and things like that. Those ones online criminals he needs to go about. But if he's referring to youths who are using AI-generated images to express themselves, the reason I advise him to breathe in and out is that he may as well be chasing the wind. And Ayub, here let me talk about AI because I have some knowledge, so basic about this. And there is this whole thing called deep fakes, which is a new phenomenon. And by the way, it is still in its infancy. By 2027, Hillary, please, as politicians in Kenya, let me give free advice this morning. By 2027, let us brace ourselves for some level of, for lack of a better word, madness that we will be unable to control because of something called deepfakes. Today, it is simple caricatures who are possibly posted by an account with a known name. It will possibly be, mutate to accounts who you cannot even trace who they are, because remember, even AI has the capability of creating its own accounts, and it can be given instructions to do. It will be images. You've seen images of and I don't want to there's part of the people who threatened the youth this weekend had their own images in coffins. They had their own images kissing other men. I hope you saw that online, yeah? And it's going to get even worse, But for me, maybe the more we get into a competition with these youths, the more we are motivating them to do it. I saw on X this morning, after the abduction of the Tanzanian lady, yeah. You should see what they have done. It's all over on social media today. They are now on to the Tanzanian president, and they make a joke. They say challenge accepted. Someone said, if you draw me, I don't know, I'll do this and this. They say challenge accepted. They draw and post. So I don't know what size of jails we are going to create to accommodate all these young people who will have to arrest and criminalize. Some of them are having fun. Some of them are expressing themselves. And few even have any criminal intent. It is a silent protest. It is their own form of soft resistance. It is the only thing they can do. They cannot come to a media station like this one and speak to power. They cannot get a forum where they can say that they have left university 5-6 years ago and they cannot find a job. They cannot say how they cannot get proper medical attention when they are sick. They have no other forum to say that the university funding model is not working for them. They have no other forum to say that the housing levy and all these other things that we have introduced are really pressing their pockets. So this is a form of a simple peasant resistance. Professor would know the peasant resistance of the 1800s and so it is a form of resistance, and unless the government starts seeing it that way, okay, and start addressing the issues affecting the people and start having a conversation, a meaningful conversation, not issuing threats, I personally think either we convert the whole country into one large prison, or we breathe in and out and let the youth be, okay, and focus on delivering the KK plan, okay, which is what I would advise all our leaders. Yeah. Let us go back to focusing on that 4-point manifesto that we promise our people. Yeah. Thank you.
And do you have, as they have, a concern about the housing levy, as you have pointed out, the youth?
Well, I mean, Ayub, I told you, if you go to the ground, these are the things that people are telling us. They are not happy about some of the taxes. They feel, the taxes are too hard on them. Mm-hmm. They are saying they don't feel like the universal healthcare system is working for them. Okay, they feel like they have less and less money in their pocket. The business people are saying the business environment is bad. Everything has all but come to a standstill. The university students are saying the university funding model is not working. I am told right now after they were promised that there will be fixes. Most of them will now be going back to the university this January, and a lot of them are holding very, very high fees arrears. Okay. So it is those sort of things and that yeah, many Kenyans are just feeling. I think there is a better way. And instead, as I finish this, instead of us responding by explaining, which is what you do, because we all go through difficult times, even with our children and our families, and you call them and you tell them, look, this is the reason why we are here. This is what we are doing. We cannot then resort to two things: issuing threats, and 3, now even moving outside unconstitutional means to resolve this problem.
And a majority of the issues you have outlined, for example, the increment in taxes from talking about the tax on fuel from 8 to 16%, the housing levy, were all introduced under the finance bill, now an act of parliament 2023. And you voted yes for it, is it?
Yes, I did.
Why did you vote for a bill that the people at the time told you in Tetu constituency that it will have an impact, adverse one, on their lives?
Ayub, initially we all believed that there was goodwill, on the part of the government to implement, some of these changes, and many of us walked along, and we still have some hope in this government. So we walked along, and because we all believe that, based on the explanation, that this was for the good of Kenyans, and this direction that we are going, would deliver us to the promised land. But Sam, it's never too late to change your mind. If you realize that the route you are walking looks like what is ahead of you is a mirage, not a water source, it is never wrong to basically, come to your senses and agree that, there's a better way.
The point is, you never listen to your people.
Ayub, I think I've answered that correctly.
I mean, the people say that if you increase taxes on fuel from 8 to 16%, the adverse effect is if a farmer in Tetu wants to transport that commodity from the farm to the market, it involves the cost of movement. I mean, fuel touches literally on everything in the economy. They said, please don't vote for that bill because it contains the housing levy, and we keep on, feeling the adverse effects of these taxes that are eating up our pay slips. And you are dead against it. You listen to what State House said, rather than what the people who put you in power have told you, that look at this the other way, and you are dead against what they said at the time. You come here now, lament like they are.
Sam, the presentation that was given to us at that point was this sort of economic Marshall Plan, that if we just raise our taxes a little bit, and if we propped up this and that, then we would be able to perform this sort of economic miracle. The disillusionment and the lamentation arises from the fact that what we have continued seeing is a lot of economic mismanagement. Corruption is at an all-time high. In fact, Ayub, we have actually moved from what I would call corruption and bribery, and now have moved to what I would call looting and plunder. And that is why I'm saying many people, and there will be many more that you are going to be seeing, who initially maybe believed in the vision, who initially believed in the plan, but who, out of now the facts that are emerging, are realizing that I think we can no longer walk this journey. Okay? So, yes, I could have gone against my people, who I know at that time were telling me do not vote for the finance bill. And I tried to explain to them that I think the reason I'm only voting for this thing is good for you. Now today, I go to them and I tell them, I think you had seen something I had not seen. You know, because while on the surface of it, while on the book, while, on paper,
yes,
everything seemed like a plan, now on the ground, a lot of things are now starting to fall through the cracks. So it's a reality, and it's a reality that is hitting very, very many people. That's why you see the sort of headlines that you are seeing today, because many people are realizing we thought we were on this journey together, but there will be some fallouts because many people are realizing now we seem to be pursuing two different agendas.
Okay, and the problem therefore admittedly is politicians, not the people. Yes, Prof.
Precisely. Because if you talk about that finance bill, they voted for it. Then I think the president had a meeting with the members of parliament in State House, and he rejected the bill. He said no. 2024,
that's the way you're talking about, yeah.
Yes, and they all clapped. They all were happy that he had actually killed, so to speak, that bill. So one wonders, a few months or weeks earlier, they were for the bill. When the president says no, they all go back and they all join the president and say, yes, we agree with you. There is something wrong there. But I wanted to say this. You see, these threats that we get from politicians, including the CS, in the statements by people like Sudi, the danger with that is that they are actually undermining democratic governance. But worse than that, they are actually leading us towards dictatorship and tyranny. This is going to be very dangerous for this country. People don't see it that way, but that is where we are going. A few decades ago, a very renowned political scientist called Lord Hampton said that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. What we are seeing in this country is some politicians who are already drunk with power. And they are using this to dictate, to threaten, and to make all manner of undemocratic statements. This is not good for this country. Secondly, even dictators, even dictatorial regimes eventually collapse. What has happened in Syria?
With Bashar al-Assad.
Yes, is gone. What is happening in many other countries? Look at what is going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Look at what is going on in Sudan. We could mention several countries. Let our leaders, particularly political leaders, please embrace, preach, and promote democratic governance. The expression by these young people is absolutely legitimate. As my brother here said, that is the only forum they think for now they can use to express themselves. You cannot go and face President Ruto and tell him that you are wrong, because you don't know what will happen to you. So this is their way of expression, and freedom of expression is a cardinal principle of our constitution and of our democratic governance. And nobody tells you must only express yourself in this way or this way or this way, when those in power express themselves in all manner of ways, including threatening citizens. I think we need to be very careful and avoid creating or causing fear in citizens. Because when somebody gets fearful, there's a point when he says, well, I've been pushed to the wall, I cannot go back, I will go to the front and face that person who is causing fear in me.
Yeah, okay, Senator Sigei, I'll come to you. Let's first hear from the lawmakers, Oscar Sudi and William Kamket, on the term limits and what they said ahead of the 2027 elections to secure a second term for President William Ruto.
Kenya hakuna rais ameenda kwa miaka 5. Kwani huyu ndiye atakuwa wa kwanza? Kama tunafanya nini? Kama tumelala wapi? Kama nini imefanyika? Kwani Kenya ni yenu? Mjue William Ruto aende mahali. Makawa hapo tunduma nyigura ile kijiti.
Kenda mutaingia rais kama stima. Kaunti ya Baringo sisi ndio tunajua mambo ya 24 years. Wakicheza, ala tunazambia wewe rais endelea kidogo.